Hello guys, welcome to my channel, Dead Cities Diary. Imagine a city with no people. Imagine a city where the only sound is the wind blowing through broken windows. This is Pripyat. It is the most famous ghost city in the world. For nearly 40 years, it has stood empty. Nature is slowly eating the buildings. Trees grow inside living rooms. Wolves run through the streets. But in 2025, Pripyat is different than it was just a few years ago. It is quieter, darker, and more dangerous. Today, we are going to take a journey into the Exclusion Zone. We will see what this abandoned place looks like right now in late 2025. We will look at how the recent war has changed everything. We will talk about the new dangers hidden in the ground. And we will see how nature is taking back the land, covering the scars of the past. Many of you know the story of the disaster in 1986. But the story of Pripyat did not end there. It is still changing every day. In 2025, the city is not just a museum of the Soviet Union. It has become a fortress of solitude. Tourism has stopped. The paths are overgrown. The silence is heavier than ever before. Let's walk through the ghost city and see what remains. To understand the tragedy of Pripyat, we must remember what it was like before. Pripyat was not just a normal town. It was a city of dreams. It was built in 1970 for the workers of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. In the Soviet Union, living here was a privilege. It was a modern city with everything a family could want. It had swimming pools, gyms, cinemas, and schools. There were 15 kindergartens for the children. Roses grew in the parks. The average age of the people living here was only 26 years old. It was a city of young people. They had good jobs and a bright future. They felt safe. They were proud of the nuclear plant nearby. They called it the peaceful atom. If you walk through the streets today in 2025, you can still see ghosts of this happiness. You can see the rusting bumper cars that children were waiting to ride. You can see the faded murals on the walls of the post office. You can find toys left behind in the dust. These things remind us that real people lived here. They had plans for the weekend. They had dreams for their children. But all those dreams ended in one single night. On April 26, 1986, everything changed forever. In the middle of the night, reactor number 4 at the power plant exploded. It was the worst nuclear accident in history. A cloud of radioactive dust went up into the sky. This dust was deadly. It spread across Europe. But the people in Pripyat, just 3 kilometers away, did not know how bad it was. The next morning, life continued as normal. Children went to school. People went to the market. They saw the fire at the plant, but they did not know the air was full of poison. It took 36 hours for the government to order an evacuation. When the buses finally arrived, the people were told to pack lightly. They were told they would come back in 3 days. They never came back. In 2025, you can still see the evidence of this rush. In the apartments, calendars on the walls are still showing April 1986. In the schools, open textbooks still lie on the desks. It is like a moment frozen in time. The city has been waiting for its people to return for almost 40 years. But now we know they never will. The radiation is still there, deep in the soil and the walls. So, what does Pripyat look like today in 2025? If you visited 10 years ago, the buildings were still standing strong. But now, the decay is speeding up. Time and weather are destroying the city. The winters in Ukraine are cold and wet. The water gets into the concrete. It freezes and expands. This cracks the walls and the roofs. In 2025, many buildings are now too dangerous to enter. The floors are rotting away. Entire sections of schools have collapsed. The famous Azure swimming pool, which was once blue and beautiful, is now filled with debris and graffiti. The glass is gone from almost every window. The city looks like a skeleton. The famous amusement park is also changing. The yellow Ferris wheel is the symbol of Pripyat. It is still standing, but it is very rusty. The metal is turning orange and brown. The bumper cars are almost hidden by tall grass and bushes. In a few more years, the forest might hide them completely. The city is disappearing. It is sinking back into the earth. The most amazing thing about Pripyat in 2025 is the nature. Humans have left, but life has returned. Without people to cut the grass or trim the trees, the forest has taken over the city. The main boulevard, which was once a wide street for cars, is now a tunnel of green trees. In the summer, you can hardly see the buildings because the leaves are so thick. Trees are growing in strange places. You can see birch trees growing out of the roofs of 16-story apartment towers. Vines are climbing up the walls of the hotel. Roots are breaking the concrete roads into small pieces. It is a concrete jungle in a very literal way. Because there are no humans, animals have moved in. Pripyat is now home to packs of wolves, moose, deer, and foxes. They sleep in the abandoned houses. They walk through the empty playgrounds. In 2025, biologists are studying these animals. They want to know if the radiation hurts them. Surprisingly, the animals seem to be doing well. It shows that for nature, humans are more dangerous than radiation. We cannot talk about Pripyat in 2025 without talking about the war. In early 2022, the war in Ukraine reached the exclusion zone. Soldiers marched through this radioactive land. They dug trenches in the Red Forest. This is one of the most radioactive places on Earth. By digging the ground, they disturbed the radioactive dust that had been sleeping for decades. Even though the soldiers left, the zone has changed. For many years, tourists could visit Pripyat on guided tours. It was a popular place for history lovers. But in 2025, tourism is mostly stopped. The area is now a military defense zone. It is closed to the public. There is a new danger here now: landmines. Soldiers left mines in the forests and fields to protect the border. This means that walking off the path is now deadly for two reasons: radiation and explosives. The safe paths we used to walk on are not safe anymore. This has made Pripyat a true no man's land. The silence in the city is deeper now because there are no tour buses, no cameras snapping photos, and no visitors. The danger is not just from the past. Even in late 2025, the area remains tense. Recently, in October 2025, there were reports of drone attacks near the exclusion zone. These attacks damaged the power lines that supply electricity to the safety systems. This is very scary. Even though the power plant does not make electricity anymore, it still needs power. It needs power to cool the old nuclear fuel that is stored there. If the power cuts off, it could be a big problem. This reminds us that Pripyat is not just a quiet ruin. It is still a place of risk. The war has turned this sleeping giant into a potential threat again. This news has kept people away. It has made the atmosphere in the city very tense. The few workers who still go there to monitor the radiation are very brave. They work in a place that has both invisible radiation danger and visible military danger. Let's use our imagination to walk inside one of the apartments today. The door is creaky. The air smells like dust and old paper. The wallpaper is peeling off in long strips. On the floor, you might see a broken piano. Pianos were too heavy to carry, so many were left behind. Now they are silent, rotting in the damp air. You might see a kitchen cupboard still hanging on the wall. Inside, there might be a glass jar or a plate. It is strange to think that someone drank tea from that cup 40 years ago. In the bedrooms, you can sometimes find shoes. Just one shoe, separated from its pair. Scavengers and looters visited the city in the 1990s. They stole the TVs, the fridges, and the metal pipes. They stripped the city of anything valuable. So what is left in 2025 is mostly trash and broken furniture. But this trash tells a story. It tells the story of a sudden exit. It tells the story of a life interrupted. From almost any high building in Pripyat, you can see the power plant. It sits there like a sleeping monster. Today, it looks different than it did in the old photos. It is covered by a huge silver arch called the New Safe Confinement. This arch was finished in 2016. It is the largest movable metal structure in the world. It is taller than the Statue of Liberty. It locks the radiation inside. It is designed to last for 100 years. In 2025, this shiny metal building looks very strange next to the rotting city of Pripyat. It is a piece of modern technology in the middle of a dead zone. Robots are working inside that arch right now. They are slowly taking apart the old, destroyed reactor. It is a slow and dangerous job. It will take many more decades to finish. So, while Pripyat dies a slow death, the work at the plant continues every single day. Is Pripyat safe to visit in 2025? The answer is complicated. The radiation levels have gone down a lot since 1986. The rain has washed the dust into the soil. In many places, the radiation on the pavement is not much higher than in a normal city. However, there are still hotspots. A hotspot is a small area where radiation is very high. It could be a patch of moss. It could be a drain pipe. If you stand there for too long, it is dangerous. The most dangerous place is the basement of the hospital. This is where the firefighters threw their clothes after fighting the fire. Those clothes are still there in 2025. They are still highly radioactive. Because of the war and the disturbed soil, some areas are unpredictable again. The dust that was buried has moved. This is why strict rules are necessary. You cannot touch anything. You cannot sit on the ground. And you certainly cannot eat the fruit that grows on the trees. The apples look beautiful and red, but they are full of poison. What is the future for Pripyat? Will it ever be a normal city again? The answer is no. The radiation will stay here for thousands of years. The buildings are falling down. Engineers say that soon, the city will just be a pile of concrete in a forest. However, there is a tiny bit of hope for the land around it. In May 2025, scientists reported that some parts of the exclusion zone are becoming cleaner. They think that maybe, in the future, some outer areas could be used for farming or solar power. But the city of Pripyat itself will remain a ruin. There is a debate about what to do. Some people want to make Pripyat a UNESCO World Heritage Site. They want to protect the ruins so people remember the history. Others say we should let nature destroy it. They say we should let the forests swallow the city completely. Pripyat in 2025 is a sad but beautiful place. It is a place of contrasts. It has dangerous radiation, but also thriving wildlife. It has deep silence, but it screams a loud warning to the world. It reminds us of the power of the atom. It reminds us that human mistakes can have consequences that last for centuries. And now, with the war leaving new scars on the land, it reminds us how fragile our safety really is. For now, Pripyat waits. It waits in the silence, watched only by the wolves and the trees. It is the world's largest monument to a lost dream. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the exclusion zone, please hit the like button and subscribe for more stories about the world's most mysterious places. Let me know in the comments, would you be brave enough to visit Pripyat if the war ended? Stay safe, and see you in the next video.